this gameplay clip, I actually never seen it before, so it's going to be just a live reaction to this bit. So immediately, I really do like the finisher moves. They're a lot better than the last couple titles that have come out. I still think that the, actual combat before the finishers is a little bit lightweight and lacking in impact, but the finisher moves itself, the animations are pretty great, and I love the dismemberment already.
Here we're looking at the assault of Berg Castle. So these are big moments that usually sort of culminate at the end of the story. And so here Eivor, or Viking Raider, is taking a group of raiders and Fyrds into...
Hang on, let's rewind on that real quick. Just take a look at the AI there for a second. That looks a little bit suspect to me. It looks a little bit weird. It seems like they're just kind of standing around to get killed to me. Unless that's her crew.
Viking Raider is taking a
no, they're
group of raiders and Fyrds.
Just kind of standing around. I mean, actually, that was your crew. But they were just standing around waiting for you to kill that one guy. AI in games, especially on your team, usually isn't the best, but you'd expect a little better, I guess.
Rued basically caused a lot of turmoil within the territory, and Oswald, who's the sort of elderman to be...
Again, I don't get this, why your teammates are just standing around letting these, little goons beat you up. If you ever play For Honor, in that one, your actual AI teammates do go for the kill. So I don't understand why here they're not doing that. It could just be something funny going on. I don't know.
So Fizz, as you're talking, we're seeing some of the combat of Valhalla. Can you tell us a little bit about the changes to combat this time around?
We wanted to basically add a lot of new mechanics to it. So we added like some dual wielding for the player, like a stun system in there. And we really needed to do this.
So this is what I'm talking about. It's the kind of weightless feather-like movement, the incredibly fast throwing of the axes, the kind of slashing at the enemy instead of it really sticking into their body, and them not really reacting as much as they should. And that's kind of what the combat is missing for me, is that element of impact. But let's keep going.
Sort of portray that sort of the brutality that comes with being a Viking.
That kind of stuff
sort of fits into that the time and the character.
That's the cool stuff. Also, I love how these guys are the only assassins ever to have thought to, hey, instead of cutting off our finger, why don't we twist the blade around? Wow. Are these like seriously the only fucking assassins that thought about this? Or only users of the hidden blade that thought about this? Even Templars don't think about this. Crazy, right?
Oswald, he lives. Oswald lives!
Eivor, is that you? Shut your ass, twig spine.
Here, Eivor has taken her entire army through the assault, and finally, it's revealed that our Elderman, our ally, Oswald, is still alive, and Rued has him captive.
So this is what it comes to, Wolfkist? 2 Danes fighting over a filthy Saxon whoreson? If this swine is your prize, come and get him.
So now that we've seen that Oswald is alive, we have Rued within our sights. What's the next step here?
So the next move for Eivor is to finally face off against Rued.
Now this reminds me a lot of Shadow of Mordor, or Shadow of War, whichever one you want to talk about. Now I wonder if this is a major story plot element, or if like Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system, there's something more at play where even the side quests can lead to kind of big boss battles of sorts like this. That'd be interesting to see. If so, that would be really impressive, because I think that those kind of quests in Shadow of Mordor made the whole game. Now, I don't think this will be that, but if it is, that'd be great. Jesus Christ, that one kick sent him like 20 feet. That's crazy. That's crazy. And notice how fast she's moving around him too. And she's kind of hovering on the ground, not so much as walking.
We are better than this, than all of them.
Do not drag me down to the sewage you wallow in.
We just a Dane fight tooth and nail for a Saxon. You throw in with these wastrels, these arrogant swine?
Eivor, no! He should be tried before God, a lawful assembly.
All right, so we've defeated Ruid, we freed Oswald. What comes next?
Oswald, in this case, prefers for Ruid to be kept alive, and so you basically have to choose: are you going to go against his wishes or stay true to your nature?
Now that's interesting. I wonder if how much of a big impact that would make, though. If it's similar to, say, a Telltale style game where, like, oh, so-and-so Rude will remember that, and then what, if any, consequences come from this kind of choices?
Just did this big, grand assault, but Eivor couldn't have done it alone. She clearly had to recruit some folks along the way, get some troops, get some allies. So let's actually rewind and see how we went about first gathering those troops.
So here what we're seeing is Eivor going around the countryside and raising what we call a fyrd, which is the men and the women of the territory who come up and fight in the name of a king. So here Eivor is going around and trying to convince people to fight in the name of Oswald to finally take down the oppressor that is Ruid. And so you need to show them that there is hope. And so here Eivor is basically helping them take back one of their prized locations by taking a couple men and raiding a nearby township.
Fizz, we just saw this giant pulse go out. What exactly was that?
Are you seriously telling me that this commentator just seriously asked what Eagle Vision was? It's the staple of Assassin's Creed since AC1, and in every single Assassin's Creed, there's been Eagle Vision. Why are you asking that like it's some brand new thing? Like, nothing to do with the game, by the way. It's just these kind of staged questions can sometimes be really frustrating. Really stupid crap.
So that is what we call the Odin sight. The Odin sight is basically
the Odin sight. It's Eagle Vision.
Our interpretation of the Eagle Vision from previous games.
Yep.
And we thought it was good to sort of bring that back. It's something we wanted to play with on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where we have fewer weapons in the game, but you can invest in them more, so they become your...
That is new. As far as I'm aware, taking out objects is not so much, but taking out windows it's a small detail, but...
Let's jump back now and figure out what we want to do with Ruid.
The rightful king of East Anglia has spared your life today, and so it will be.
Compassion is a virtue suited for anyone, Eivor, including you. Thank you.
The character models look a little weird to me. I mean, not bad, but they have this kind of Sims-like quality to them that's a little different.
Eivor decided to let him live. Ruid is really angry about that. Being a Norse Viking, being put to the death in battle is your road to Valhalla. So he was basically denied access to Valhalla in this situation.
So, Fizz, we've completed the assault. We've gotten our hands dirty with some combat, taken down Ruid. We have this big open region of East Anglia, so before we head off to Oswald's wedding, what do you say we head out, have some fun, and see what we can get into in the open world? So we see a cat here with a speech bubble above it, and you best believe if you let me talk to a cat, I'm gonna talk to a cat.
Yeah, these are some of our some of my favorite moments actually in the game, where we put out a whole bunch of events throughout the territory. So here, basically, like you're trying to help a kid with his cat, and ultimately get that cat to sort of join your crew as a.
Now, if I'd known you could get cats to join your crew, I would have not been so harsh on this game. That looks very Witcher to me. This entire thing about the quest thing like that, very Witcher. Not bad. I love The Witcher. Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games ever, so.
Cat Raider.
You just said cat raider way too casually. You're telling me I could have a cat...
You can have a cat raider in your boat. I gotta admit, that's funny.
Viking raider on my longship?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Oh my god, yes, I love it. Perfect.
And we actually wanted the crew of your ship to become like your home away from home. So we added stories and songs into the ship. So basically, as the player is going around, you could decide to have your skull sort of sing a song for you as you row down the river. But you can also decide, depending on who the raiders are in your ship, to hear more about their life. So you can actually queue up stories, and they'll give you a little bit more background on who they are. So you
That is very God of War. Every time you get in God of War in the boat, you're gonna hear stories, and that's gonna be a really cool thing because it's just gonna allow you in Assassin's Creed now to understand a little bit more about the world around you and the people around you. Like I say, I mean, the characters in Valhalla are not too bad. The way that they're laid out, not too terrible.
get to know your.
In fact, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so here what we have is what we call flighting, which was an activity that Norse people would partake in. They would like to have a battle of wits and sort of poetry where insults would be thrown back and forth between each other. The idea was to try and have a good insult, but also to have a good rhythm.
A Viking diss track, or a Viking rap battle. That's what he's getting at, I guess, here.
To all those whom I speak, they say Eivor's a clod.
Then you're speaking to fools and their knowledge is flawed.
Well,
How exactly do you go about being successful in one of these?
The trick behind a good flight was to choose the right insult, identifying the right cadence, and then trying to find what rhymed the best.
I'm known for my might.
interesting. Interesting. Silent whispers all claim that you're terribly dense.
Then you've clearly misheard them. My wit is immense.
Her lips didn't even move when she does that. I mean, whatever, right? Her lips didn't even move when she said that. But I do wish this whole thing was taking place with a crowd watching to get some cheers going here.
Oh, you looked out with that one.
I think it's time for a bit more relaxing activity, so we're fishing here.
Yeah, that's it. So we gave Eivor a fishing line, so you can actually throw out a line and go catch some fish.
I've never seen a fishing line quite like that.
This is used basically to play into our new health loop, where the player will lose health in the world, and it doesn't automatically regenerate like we would have in the past. So you actually have to go out and get some.
Now, that's something that they played around with for a while. If you remember, in some games you had to take medicine, in some other games you'd get it regenerated, in some games it was a combination of both. So long as you were in combat, you had to take meds, and then as soon as you got out, your health would regenerate again. So I guess they've gone back to just having to eat to sustain yourself, which works fine by me. I didn't really care too much about it either way. But it's interesting that they keep going back and forth on that one. And I don't think it's because of uncertainty so much as depending on the game settings and the style they were going for in that particular game, they change it to fit that. And I think usually they get that one quite right.
So this is what we call one of our offering altars. So the idea is that you find these around the world and you make offerings to it. So it'll take like animal parts and stuff that you can find throughout the world. Here what you're seeing though is sort of like a fancy version of it, where as you do your offering you get interrupted by some kids that basically come and steal your stuff. So it's just a way for us to sort of showcase that like the systems and the activities in the world can sort of play in with some quests and some little events. So it's our way to sort of dress up these moments and make it all fit inside the whole experience.
Yeah, this seemed like a really sort of unexpected turn for what I thought was going to be kind of a simple interaction.
Yeah, and it's really what we were trying to do with these events is to give another dimension to Eivor, other than just the pure rar Viking or the politician. Because you can imagine at some point that will grow old if you're always telling that version of the character. So
Now, two things I want to mention here. One, again, very much like The Witcher, with all these like events kind of happening dynamically, and or Red Dead 2, where whenever you camp somewhere, there's a chance that stuff will happen. I like that. I think that's good. It adds a lot of character. And secondly, he's just basically acknowledged one of their previous flaws with their characters in the games that they've been making, especially Assassin's Creed 3. Because while I love that game, all Connor was this, angry dude. And that got boring pretty fast. And that's why he's kind of one of the least memorable characters in the game in terms of personality.
it lets us really go into the depth of who is Avar, what motivates her, how she can interact with the world outside of warfare and politics.
But your stealth needs work.
We were close.
And it also showcases like a different facet of the world at the same time. It's not only Eivor, so it just widens the breadth of the stories that we can tell.
So who exactly are these two children?
These are kids of East Anglia. They are going through tough times with whatever Rued's been doing to the territory. And so they're just here trying to survive and basically exploit the people that are there to make offerings.
It was kind of nice to see that Eivor wasn't really necessarily upset at them for stealing, and after you talk to them, you have the choice of helping them. You can give them food, give them some money, or maybe just say, hey, good luck, on your way.
Yeah, and then this is something we also wanted to do a lot. Like, so here we're doing an event, we do it in Quest as well, but we want to give a lot of this agency into players' hands so that they can sort of shape Eivor a little bit. Who she is, so it represents them a little bit more, and they can role play that a little bit better. And again, it just gives her like a little bit more humanity in these moments.
What large walkers should do. Provide for small walkers.
Here, large walker.
A necklace.
Yes, it's a St. Martin seal. You're welcome here anytime, large walker. You're one of us now. Visit us, okay?
I will. Take care now, small green walkers.
That was a cool interaction. I like that.
So I think AC veterans might recognize this here, but what exactly is Eivor chasing down?
Yeah, so here you're seeing
It's one of them songs.
Eivor running down one of our tattoo images. So this is...
Oh, it's a tattoo here. In Black Flag, it was songs.
Are we going to be able to tattoo Eivor?
Yes, by collecting these tattoos, you actually bring them back to your settlement, and then you can customize different body parts, having different tattoos everywhere.
That's cool. I'd like to actually have a lot of tattoos as a Viking. So that's interesting that you can catch those. It actually makes for, in my opinion, a better reason to collect those than, say, feathers. Although, in AC2, when you did collect feathers, they did give you 2 pretty great weapons, so I can't really complain about that.
One of my favorite things when I was just out there exploring East Anglia was coming upon a house or a building and realizing that there was a chest inside, but that there was no easy way in. And in this case, I saw all the doors were barred, but I knew that because there was a chest in there must have been some way to get inside. So I went around the back and, found a way in.
We played a lot with puzzle solving, so making sure that every house that you find sort of appeals to you, like it draws your attention, and then when you want to come and explore, it's not given to you. You still have to work for it a little bit, so it'll challenge you on your...
I like the lore finding. I think that was something that was kind of missing quite a bit in some Assassin's Creed. Not all of them, but in some Assassin's Creed, it really wasn't there, and there's a ton of Witcher 3 influence here. And I don't mind that at all. I'm not going to even try and say that that's a bad thing. In fact, I think that's a great thing, and they've taken some of the best parts of what makes the Witcher games good to kind of hang out in.
A poor victim of someone's fury.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about exploration and just finding things out in the world, I was just wandering and came across this clearing and found this kind of morbid altar.
Yeah, so this is one of our bigger events that we have scattered in the world. So as Eivor explores, she can find altars like this, and by interacting with them, here it's a trap that's been set by this character named Regan. Now, there's a bigger story behind all this. There's multiple steps to it later on. So this is one of the moments. It permits us to go into a slightly more mystical realm and play with a boss fight that has more magical abilities, if we will, and basically have this awesome boss fight in the middle of the swamps.
Now, I like that they're actually giving it a logical reason as to how you're able to interact with these like mystical, magical beings, right? To be honest with you, they didn't really need to do that. Considering Origins and Odyssey, they really didn't need to actually do that here, but they've done it, and I think that that's a really cool thing to kind of play it into their realism a little bit and not have it be as outlandish. Again, I didn't mind it in Origins and Odyssey that it was that outlandish. I just accepted it as a part of the universe. There's already always been outlandish stuff in the AC universe, so this is not anything new. But the fact that they're trying to explain it through, you know, it being hallucinations and stuff, similar to what they've done in Far Cry, actually, it's interesting. I think it permits them to be able to seamlessly stay in the game world without it having to like kind of cutscene you away, while being able to explore some of the mythology of the Norse. Now that's one thing. Your character gets stabbed to shit right there, and her health is just fine. I get it. They're going for an RPG style game these last 3 games, and that's okay. But I think the consequences of you getting attacked like that should be far more severe.
So we just saw here that Regan belongs to something called the Daughters of Lyria.
Yeah, that's correct. By finding the other daughters, you'll get a little bit more backstory on who they are, so we don't want to spoil that too much. But it creates like a sort of greater story that is not on the main path in any way, but it is still very rich and adds to the lore of this world and actually plays into history.
At this point in the demo, we've explored East Anglia, we've met some children, we've broken into a house, we fought a boss, we built a cairn. I think now it's finally time to go and head off to Oswald's wedding.
Isn't that dude the one that is acting as priest? Finir? I don't know how to pronounce. Isn't this guy the Jarl from Skyrim? You know, Whiterun? Looks a heck of a lot like him, to be honest.
If someone knows how to party, it's a Viking. And so here, this is one of our opportunities to sort of show that, show what a sort of Viking gathering is. And what's cool here is it's a good alliance of Norse culture with Saxon culture.
Steady all, and ready yourself for the wedding race. The king and his bride against all.
My king, he...
How'd this guy get out? What the heck? Should have killed him.
The decision I made to spare Ruid came back to bite us.
Yep, that's...
So I guess there was consequences to deciding to let him live versus to kill him. I'm sure that the relationship with Oswald would have gone a little bit sour, but, you know, this wouldn't have happened either. So maybe just kill him.
You're basically presented with the option to sort of step in for Oswald, fight the fight for him, or let him go and fight his own fight.
Yeah, you know, personally, I chose to fight myself because I thought Eivor is the type of person who likes to finish what she started.
Plank by plank, and a dead king cannot keep his oaths. Let me finish this.
His big gun abilities, like, fairly earlier on in the fight. So
Ooh.
It's way more vicious, way faster. There's less strategy. He goes literally swords blazing at you.
I mean, I get the fighting. It's just, boy, it's pretty. I mean, it's not even terrible. I'm not even like saying, boy, like that's bad. It's just very, very different. I mean, again, I wish it was a little bit heavier, but here we are. I mean, I'm not immediately turned off by it.
And so this is...
I can't tell if the silver bar is the health or if it's the golden bars on top.
a fight to the death. And of course here, like, this is a decision you made to go and fight.
I guess it was the silver bar.
I promised you an alliance, and now you have it.
And one day I will need you to make good on that alliance.
Well, folks, we've come to the end of our Assassin's Creed Valhalla playthrough. Fizz, thank you so much for joining us.
So there you go. Now, what are my opinions about the whole thing? I think it looks okay, honestly. It looks like a decent game, but, and this is my opinion, now you can disagree with this or agree with this, I don't care. It is not an Assassin's Creed game. It isn't. It's a Viking game, and that's okay. It's a decent looking Viking game, but it's a very unpolished looking Viking game at the same time. And that's really, in my opinion, due to the fact that it was rushed. It looks like it was rushed. It looks like it could have been a lot more polished in a lot of different ways. Characters are pretty good. And the fact that the quests are more dynamic now is pretty good. There's a lot of Witcher 3 elements in here, which is really great. And I am going to buy this game and play it. And then to give you an idea of how I feel about it after playing it, I still stand by my statement. It is an Assassin's Creed. But does it need to be? That's the more important question. Does it need to be? No. No, it doesn't need to be. It is a decent Viking game. I will be looking forward to how they'll even try and tie it back with the Assassin's Order. I don't think they should. I honest to God think they should just leave the AC lore alone. Make this the best Viking game it can be. Make every game the best historical piece it can be. Don't worry about bringing it back to AC. Who cares? Who cares? Go to the mythology side of the Norse things and the Greeks and the Egyptians. Go to the more, irrelevant storylines. Make it more dynamic. Make it more character-driven. And make it the best game it can be regardless of the franchise that it's in. So far, it looks pretty decent. Now, all of these rough edges could be polished out by the time the game comes out. Extremely unlikely because it comes out in November. But will it seriously impact the game negatively? I don't think so, but only time will tell. Anyway, if you've made it this far into the video, consider subscribing and joining the Funkle family. And to my current subscribers, you guys are awesome. I appreciate all your support. Sorry this video took so long to make. And anyway, after this, I'm going to be hanging out on Twitch tonight. That's twitch.tv/FungleFunTime. I'll actually put a link in the description below. I'll be playing Hyperscape, and I hope to see some of you guys over there.